All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of She Collects Cards. Probably this is the most exciting episode I think I've done in terms of interviews for sure. I think we have two awesome soccer collectors. I mean, they collect other stuff too, but they're mostly known for their soccer collections. But we have Miles here and Bryan here, kind of just giving a laydown of like what's been happening in the soccer market, and also their take on the latest Championships League games and the upcoming games as well. So you guys want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, my name is Bryan. I am a good friend of Hannah's, and I love collecting. I love collecting soccer cards. I love collecting basketball cards. I just love cards in general.
My name is Miles. I have been collecting soccer cards, for maybe like a year and a half now. Yeah, it hasn't been too long, but I've been around cards since like 97 through Magic Gathering and Pokemon. So it's been quite a while for me. So I'm pretty familiar with this market.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's really weird trying to interview you guys formally when we kind of joke around in a group chat all the time, but let's, try to stay on course. And if you guys want to take the conversation wherever you want to take it, it's all good. Okay. So as you guys know, I'm still trying to get to learn soccer. So for a lot of people who may not be super into it, or maybe just getting into it this year, if you guys can just kind of, from like a soccer fan's perspective, like the Championships League going on right now, is this like sort of what happens all the time where there's upsets and there's like players that go down and, kind of really turn the trajectory? Like what's your take on like these young players coming up right now, like names like Mbappe, Foden, Haaland, who just kind of got eliminated, but like, is this how it normally is? Like how exciting this is?
That's a very loaded question, because that's a 2-hour answer right there. I'll try and summarize it a little bit. The Champions League is the most exciting tournament when it comes to soccer. I would argue for a true soccer fan more than a World Cup. It's because these players have, these teams have been together for so long, and there are a lot of upsets. Like, Juventus with Ronaldo, that was a huge upset when they lost to Porto. That's just crazy. An institution like Barcelona.
2 years ago when Spurs made the final, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just crazy. Like no one would have anticipated like Tottenham making the final. So it is like very exciting. And I would say like this next round, the semifinals of the Champions League, is very, very exciting because these four clubs are pretty much the best in their countries and in the world right now.
If you were to do like a March Madness style draw before the league, the game started, would you have picked these four to be in the semifinals?
Definitely Man City.
Yeah, definitely Man City. I mean, if you're gonna say like the regions would be the leagues, then yeah, you're pretty close, because if I went with France, I'd definitely go with PSG as seed 1. England, Man City would be seed 1. I mean, yeah, Chelsea's probably a 1A at this point, and who's the last finalist? It's
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid. Yeah, they're probably like a 1A in Spain. So yeah, it's pretty close, across the board.
Wow. Okay, so you didn't expect Bayern Munich to proceed?
No, I mean, like there's so many 1A. There's so many 1As in Europe, right? Like, yeah, there's like Bayern's definitely a top team, but they were hurt like no other. I think they lost like 5 or 6 players at that point.
Yeah.
Bayern were the favorites to win the Champions League, and had their second striker, Serge Gnabry, had he not gotten COVID, I'm pretty sure Bayern would have won that tournament. Won that game against PSG.
Wow.
They would have converted a lot more than 1 goal in that second half too.
Yeah, because Gnabry really shone last year in the semifinals and finals too. So and if Lewandowski was in there, it's like game over. Right. There was just no way that PSG defense was would have taken on Lewandowski.
I mean, Gnabry was so hot last year. I remember I bought like a bunch of his color chromes from like $4 to $10, and I was selling them for $4 to $100 at the Champions League last year.
Wow,
like
that's crazy.
Delta.
Raw.
So like, raw. No, yeah,
wow.
Raw. Yeah. Wow. So I still have I have the red wave to 10, and I have a red wave base. And those are the ones I'm going to keep.
Gotcha. I mean, it's so cool, right? Like you see Mbappe's cards like flying right now. And you know, as you guys know, dumped my blue a little too early. So I'm always like that. I'm always selling a little bit early, but it's okay.
It does.
Yeah, and like, where do you think that these like I think Mbappe, Foden, these cards are like at all-time high pretty much right now. Like, would you guys be picking one up just because you want to make a play for the finals or anything like that?
Oh, so for myself personally, I just have a long-standing policy. I have not bought any modern cards since the first spike last like August. It's just too much money for me to invest in compared to what I had in before. Like I have so much quantity myself at this point. Like I don't really care. Like I didn't buy any Holland because I couldn't justify paying. Like I think he like went out the gates of like $300 to $400 a base, and my buy-in for Mbappe and Sancho are like 25 and $12. Like how could I possibly like make the delta up? And to be honest, like to be honest, like me and like a lot of other collectors, it's not like I have a massive bankroll to buy everything from. Most of your like pending values like sitting there at PSA, and like you have like future, you have like, you know, potential earnings in the future, but that's not cash. And so like, yeah, the perspective is a little different for me. So personally, I haven't bought anything.
I've just been buying. I would still buy today an Mbappe or Foden. I think it's so undervalued right now.
I agree with that.
We're in a very unique time. Like literally in this next month will be the semifinals and the finals. And even if Mbappe and Foden and you know drop out of the tournament, there's 1 month later, there's the most exciting tournament, international tournament, like in June. So you know, on top of that, that's the Dallas Card Show in May, end of May, and typically like the Dallas Card Show is when trends are set for the next month or two, and I just cannot. And you know, with the amount of soccer investors there right now, because Miles and I have set up at the Dallas Card Show, there are a lot of soccer investors looking to buy some soccer cards right now, and yeah, like 1-2 weeks before the Euros, like there's no way that these cards are not going to spike up. You know, the pop is so low. It's so low, and even with this influx of cards coming back from PSA, like I don't think it's going to fulfill the demand of it.
It's going to be such a slow bleed too. I literally just hit QA1 with a bulk submission I did in July, something like that. I'm checking Mbappe right now. Let's see.
What? Seriously? I just got my bulk back from August. I think I did bulk.
Yeah, but my order was 100 cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Your bulk quantity was probably like 20 cards, right? They probably put mine to the back order.
Okay, so let's talk about maybe some opportunities from these 4 teams, right? Like, so Holland, or maybe I guess 8 teams. Holland just got out. Do you guys see his prices dropping because his hype is kind of gone, or is it going to stay hot?
I think that's super interesting because Haaland there's this debate right now going on in the soccer world that Haaland is tied to Mbappe, the same way Messi is tied to Ronaldo. So if Mbappe goes up, Haaland goes up too. I mean, this is just a hypothetical theory, but it seems like that's what is happening because I don't think his cards dropped too much after Dortmund got knocked out. On top of that, people are expecting a really big transfer for Haaland. It's going to be one of the big clubs. And if Mbappe, which the rumors are, if he goes to Real Madrid, and Mbappe, the rumors are he may go to Barcelona, that's just like what we call the El Clasico. El Clasico is when Real Madrid and Barcelona, their rivalry. If that happens, it's just going to be mayhem because it's potentially a decade of just Ronaldo, Messi again.
Exactly, yeah. Wow.
And so that gets really exciting.
Yeah, and I doubt Hannah knows this too, but Real Madrid, to compare the teams, Real Madrid is like close to the New York Yankees, so they have like this history of building teams called the Galacticos, which has gone back like the last 25 years, where they like one summer they'll just like decide, oh, we're gonna buy fucking everybody on the market and we're gonna build a super team, and they'll continue adding to that super team. That's why they won, like a couple of years ago, they won 4 or 5 Champions Leagues because they kept stacking their roster over and over again. So, you know,
And Barcelona is like this like academy. They raise up, they really groom
Right.
their players, and players like Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, they all came from this academy, including the coach. Miles, is that right? Pep was from that academy too, right? Yeah. Like so it's a very like historical brand. So it's you get Real Madrid who just, all right, Beckham come on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raul come on board. Like you get all Zidane come on board. You get all that, and you get these legends made from Real Madrid. But that's why it's such a great rivalry.
So
And
interesting.
yeah, and you could consider Haaland, like if he does stay at Barcelona for like 5-10 years, he could be like a Barcelona,
Like the next Messi.
yeah, like he could be groomed by Barcelona essentially. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So going back to the cards, Haaland, I don't think it's a great buy right now. It's just ridiculous. It's too high. And he hasn't proven anything. He's only been playing for 18 months. That's ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Like you're telling me LaMelo Ball is not worth $10,000?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Mbappe, I think, is still a great buy though. He has already proven the way he plays is just really exciting. He also a big transfer coming up, and he plays for France. That's the really big one. And France may win the Euros, so he could have.
Are they favored? Is France favored?
Definitely one of.
Yeah, I think they're probably like 3, 4, 5 in that range. I think it's like right now, it's like England's the favorite at this point. But yeah, even for France, like there's still like the team is still good, and they still have a crop of young talent coming up now. So it's like it's not only for now the team is good, also for the future too. Because one thing you guys don't understand about international tournaments is that what people frequently call golden generations, because you have to have a core group of young kids that are all from the same country come up at the exact same time to build good teams, right? So like a lot of countries will come in and out, but it's difficult, right? It's difficult to keep that consistency going. Even like a soccer powerhouse like Italy ran into a dry spell, and they were like one of the best teams for a long time. And
Germany too.
Yeah, Germany.
Yeah, but I think this is also really exciting because that's why the USA has so much hope, because you have literally this crop of young players all growing up together, and I think the US team is going to be crazy in 2026.
Oh, well,
2026, that sounds about right.
Pulisic is in the semifinals, right? He's playing for Chelsea.
Yeah.
So is Zach Steffen, the backup goalkeeper for Man City.
Oh, he's American.
Yeah. So pretty much the like going back to cards and Champions League semifinals, right? Like just not to talk about performance and anything like that, just purely cards. When you invest in soccer cards, just like basketball, you want the young talent, the young 22-year-old who has the biggest potential to be a GOAT, right? Who's the next Rooney? Who's the next all these superstars? And it's interesting because these 4 clubs each have one star young player. For Man City, it's Phil Foden. Which is a true rookie, the Donruss optic. For Chelsea, it's Pulisic, and it just comes at the perfect time because Pulisic is just like killing it right now. Like,
I mean, Mount is the guy right now, right?
Yeah, and Mason Mount, yeah. But the problem we'll go back to that later with the England squad and the England youth team, not youth team, the England youngsters, is that there's so many options, so it's quite hard to predict which
one's gonna be.
Yeah, because this England manager is just very frustrating because you don't really know like what he's doing. Like you don't know what's going to happen. So you have Chelsea has Pulisic, Man City has Foden, Real Madrid has this kid which I'm not that big on, but his name is Vinicius Jr. And I'm not that big on him, but he did score 2 goals and his price has tripled in the last week or two.
It literally shows how myopic the market is right now, right? Because like typically if you follow the soccer market, if you watch from game to game, nobody cares about like if someone. It just so happens in the Champions League, he scores 2 goals and his prices go up. But if you looked at his performance over the season, I couldn't convert at all.
Exactly.
for the majority of the season, Real Madrid has not been leading La Liga the entire season, and they've been trailing behind. It's just become good recently, but people aren't watching those games, right? Like something
they're just watching highlights, right?
Something to always consider with this, right? Like you are still in an emerging market that people are still going to watch the game. So like it's already a godsend that they're watching this one Champions League game because, you know, a few years ago they would have never even, you know, they would have never even read the box score for it. And now they're actually watching it and paying attention for the players. So like things have dramatically changed in a short amount of time. So you just have to, you always have to keep that in mind whenever you're buying or researching players.
Yeah.
So,
and who's the last team again? Sorry, Real Madrid, Chelsea.
PSG.
And PSG's Mbappe, right? So like these are the four. That's why in the card market right now it's so interesting because you actually have four youngsters, but potentially going to be huge superstars, and each one of these clubs in the semifinals has a true great rookie card that is a chrome and it's attainable, and on top of that, they're all going, except Pulisic, they're all going into the Euros. So you can't really go wrong. Like the safest bet, if you just want to invest in cards right now, the safest three players to invest in: Mbappe, Foden, and I would say Kevin De Bruyne. Just because they are playing for powerhouses in the Euros and they're all in the Champions League still, so people won't really sell them even if they're knocked out of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Miles' initial point of like it is ridiculously priced right now compared to what they were, all these players that you just mentioned like 12 months ago, maybe even 6 months ago, right? So question back to you, Bryan, is if let's say I'm a budget, investor, I don't want to spend too much cash on this right now because these players are actively playing on the championships games. Do you think there's an opportunity post Euros to buy into these players once there's less conversations about them and the focus shifts internationally to like basketball because that, playoff has started and then like football season's around the corner? Do you think that would be the right time to buy, or, do you think it would already be sort of like priced in and so you should kind of get into it now?
Well, if you're, I'm just talking strictly from a budget perspective. We don't know if what happens after the Euros because we don't know the amount of supply of soccer cards that are coming back from PSA. I mean, we really don't know the number, right? And we know it's a lot, but with all the attention gone basically till this time next year, 1 year from now, we don't know how much will flood the market by then. We don't know what Panini is going to do. We don't know what Topps may overtake Panini. That's another thing that's happening potentially. So I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if it's a good time to buy immediately right after the Euros. What I can say is that it is definitely a good time to buy now. PSA 9s. PSA 9s right now in the soccer market is so undervalued because...
Please, preach. Somebody coming.
Yeah, like, what's up?
He said preach.
Preach, I have so many coming. Just give it.
Yeah, I mean, like with the grading, like potentially being really, if you can afford a PSA 10, like I think with the strict grading and these cards are not kept in the greatest conditions, I think PSA 10s are going to multiply like crazy. But PSA 9s right now is so cheap. Like, and there's so many great opportunities to enter because the pop is still really, really low for all of them. So the rising tide effect happens really fast, not like basketball in soccer.
To accentuate on Bryan's point too, is that a lot of people don't really take into account where a lot of these cards come from. Because like if you were buying singles at the time that we were buying singles, you're not buying them from like US stores. You're buying them from like Vietnam, Thailand, Europe, right? A completely different card culture where they did not penny sleeve their cards. They just threw them in a box and all these things. Grading the cards is incredibly difficult. I got like a bunch of high-end cards and the kid thought he was cleaning them and he was like wiping them down with like car wax. Like they're like, but that's the thing, they're genuinely trying to do something nice for you, but they like, it's just not the culture at all, right? So it's like completely different. So like when you go out and you look, it's not as easy as you think it is. That's why like the box price, like people don't understand like the box prices right now carry such a premium because these are probably the only gradable cards you're going to get. Like you saw all those 5,000 count boxes at my house. Like literally I went through every single one of them to try to grade them all and it took an enormous amount of time. Yeah, like a lot of them just do not pass. Just do not pass. And it's just the reality of everything.
Like we
It's
talk about the
interesting.
Ronaldo Prism PSA 10, right? We talk about that like being like oversupplied. That's still only less than 1,000 of them.
Which one? The World Cup
Yeah,
14?
the famous one that went up and then crashed. It went up to
Yes.
4K
God,
and then
yes.
crashed down to like $500, right?
Mhm.
Like I believe eventually, I believe that card's going to go up to $2,500 for the Euros. There's just not enough supply of cards
To make
out
that.
there
Hmm.
to
Especially with how the market's acting. There's
yeah
not.
yeah there's just not like it's when it comes and if Ronaldo actually takes Portugal to the finals, which is not improbable.
No, they're very good.
Yeah, they're very good. uh
Yeah,
yeah, I don't see why the same thing won't happen again, you know.
yeah. Wow.
Like strip this down, right? Like sometimes, like, you know, sometimes it feels like information overload, but like strip it down. Like look at the Vegas odds for the favorites. Look at the favorites for Vegas is putting out, and then just like honestly, my suggestion to you, if you want to learn the players, just look up ratings on FIFA and then go by country. It's
Yeah.
not like people are like trying to overcomplicate all of this. Like people are just trying to grasp a sport for the first time, and that's like where the excitement is, and that's why there's a ceiling to this, because
Mhm.
they've literally never watched the sport before. You know, they've literally never watched the sport. So like how much interest can grow from here, it depends on how organic it is. Like the two different booms in soccer happen very differently because one, people didn't know the sport, and two, people didn't know the cards that existed
Yeah.
for it.
Mhm.
So if you were around the first time, it was all like, it was just 2014, 2018 Prism. That's what pushed everybody.
Mhm.
And this time you go in, people are looking at the actual Messi rookie cards. They're looking at, you know, all these other sets. They're looking at new players. They're doing all these other different things that they didn't do the first time because, again, it's an emerging market and things act very differently.
Mhm.
To add on to Mouse's point, right? I think that for the first time, I really believe that soccer is going to be huge in the US. I mean, we all know it, but the next 5 years, Matthew McConaughey just bought Austin FC.
And Brian, you mean like soccer in general or the
In
soccer
general,
club?
I'm talking like I think people would actually go up and wake up and go to sports bars to watch these like noon games, right, in Europe, right? Like, and with Dallas FC, like just creating all these like Dallas FC is now known as the hub of where they create great American players.
Bayern Munich, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's known as that now in Europe, right? Like if you want an American player, Dallas FC, that tends to be the place. And but the key thing is that you get all these basketball players really hyping up soccer.
Interesting.
And it starts with LeBron and Mbappe. But what we don't realize is Kevin Durant did buy Philadelphia Union, I think, right? We forget that Steve Nash did buy the Toronto Whitecaps.
He's
Like,
a huge soccer guy, right?
yeah, and Steve Nash is a huge soccer guy. I think like when the Euros come, it may be the Euros, it may be the World Cup, but most likely the World Cup, right? These players, these like mega celebrities, they're gonna pump up.
Yeah, I mean, I
these
feel like
players.
when the next World Cup comes and then maybe US makes it to like the 16th round, I think it's game over. Like people are gonna get so hyped, and maybe this will be the first time this country will be unified, like for the first time in like 5 years. Right?
No, I agree. It's really nice to see that it finally come to fruition. Like, because we've been talking about it for the last 5 years. Like, I know Miles and I have been going to LAFC and LA Galaxy games for a long time, you know, and people say, yeah, soccer's going to be huge, soccer's going to be huge. But I truly believe it now. It's when you go to these LAFC games, it's insane. When you go to the Seattle games, it's insane. Like, and these cards are such low population. They're like a Foden in 5 years when he's 25.
It's so crazy how young these guys
Like
are.
if you compare the pops.
Let's talk about sleepers, right? Okay, let's redefine what a sleeper is in this chapter.
Okay.
A sleeper equals a player that key influencers don't mention.
Correct.
Okay. I don't think that's possible in the soccer card market.
What do you mean? Because every player is a sleeper? Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's clarify this. Right. Let's clarify this.
Forgive me. Like my favorite guy. You know this too, Brian. Like my favorite guy in EPL is Jack Grealish, right? And
yes.
Nobody talks about Jack Grealish.
He's a sleeper.
However, Card Talk Pod on their daily flip of the week mentions a Jack Grealish.
I saw that.
$500 and flipped it for 1,300 as a PSA 10.
Mhm.
So like, I wish I could submit my Jack Grealish of like 30 cards for $50.
Oh, okay. All right, Miles. Let's take a step back. Okay, let's take a step back. The reason why the soccer card market is such an incredible market to be in is because when you invest in players, you're essentially investing in stars already.
Correct.
That's why it's great. Basketball is different. You are prospecting, right?
Mhm.
But in soccer, like obviously there's a prospecting market, but in general, to make if you want to get in a little more risk free, you invest in stars. Foden is a star. Jack Grealish is a star, right?
Mhm.
So by that definition, that's why I feel that there aren't many sleepers. My definition of a sleeper is who is someone not paying attention to right now that is a star in the card market that could exponentially go up in value
Right.
when the time comes,
Mhm.
aka the Euros.
Mhm.
So my sleeper pick.
You can only name one, Brian.
Sure. 2, 3. Give me 3. Give the viewers 3.
Get it to 2. Get it to 2.
Okay. And obviously for these cards, as Miles knows, is that it's not just a performance thing, right? It has to be they have to play for the right country, they have to play for the right team, and they have to play, and they have to have a brand, and they have to be still in your earlier year cards. Your cards have to be available, right? So there's a lot of components when it comes into soccer. My sleeper is Paul Pogba, 2014 Prism, because
Hold on a second. You tell me that I can't use Bruno Fernandez and you use Paul Pogba? Are you serious?
Even I know him.
Exactly. Paul Pogba. No. Do you know how much I bought Paul Pogba PSA 9s for?
Yeah, like 150, $200.
There you go. 40
What?
bucks.
Are you serious? I just sold all my Pogba Raws.
Paul Pogba PSA 9. I just bought 8. Go on eBay and find it. I bought it for $44.
Yeah.
PSA 9.
But
That's
his team,
ridiculous.
his country is about to win the Euros.
So and I'll give my reasonings why, and then I'll present it. Then Miles can present his sleeper next. Okay. So number one, if you pay attention to the Euros, it's gonna get super interesting right off the bat because in Group F in the Euros, it's Germany, France, and Portugal in the same group.
It's a high group.
That's why that's why like it's big, right? Pogba has been so because I think he had like a bit of bad press. I think he wasn't playing well or something like that. So his stock dropped a lot. But if you've been paying attention, he's been starting for Man U again a lot. He's been playing well, and on top of that, he's been playing for France in the first team for the World Cup qualifiers. That combined with playing with Mbappe, right? That combined with playing against Ronaldo, right?
Don't forget. Let's not forget the midfield he gets to play with, right? He gets Conte to back him up, and then you got two young talents in Camavinga and
on top of that, 2014 first Prism, and his cards look sick. I mean, he's doing the karate chop thing.
Yeah,
he just looks like he looks like a cool guy, right? And it's not so ridiculous where it's like a 10-year rookie, right? It's not a 10-year Prism card. It's still in the range of like a second to third year card.
Sure.
I think his rookie was 2011, I think, or 2012, something like that. And he's 28 years old. He's at his prime. PSA 9, $44. PSA 10, I think, is like $200.
That's cheaper than how much it takes to grade these days.
Exactly. It's a no-brainer sleeper.
What's the ceiling you see on a PSA 9?
Well, if it goes to $200, you just mentioned before I said it to you, you assumed that it was $150 to $200.
No, I think that's what it was back like Boom 1.
But Boom 1 had no supply.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right? So now it's a different market, right? I checked the pops. PSA 9, 137. PSA 10, 230.
Wow.
So it's liquid.
I want to see what the Bruno Chrome is worth right now.
So that's my sleeper. Second sleeper, Harry Kane.
Oh my God.
How is that a sleeper?
How are you picking?
How is that a sleeper?
You pick famous players and then you pick Spurs. What's wrong with you?
How's Harry Kane a sleeper? Wait, Brian,
Wait.
help me understand.
I want to hear this.
No, okay. Harry Kane is a sleeper. Harry Kane is a sleeper because he only really has one card that you can purchase that will give you the most upside. That's a 2016 Euro Prism. his true rookie card, I think, was a 2015 like match attacks. I think adrenaline, something like that, right? That's a hard one to find. It's a rare card.
Miles, back me up. Isn't Harry Kane's going to be the captain of England?
Yep.
So you're telling me the captain of England is a sleeper?
Little bitch diving.
He's a sleeper. He's a sleeper because I don't know why in the card market.
But his price is not like priced in, is what you're saying, right?
Miles, I want you to take a guess, right? Miles, I want you to take a guess. How much is a Harry Kane PSA 10?
Euro 16?
Yeah, Euro 16.
I've only looked at the silvers for me recently, so it's like $100. So I assume it's probably about the same, like 100 something bucks. Yeah,
or PSA 10?
No, the silver.
No. A Harry Kane base PSA 10.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's like 100 something because the silvers are like 100 something.
What? What are you talking about? No.
What's the 10?
Okay.
Wait, can I guess?
Yes.
$150. What?
No. Okay, Harry. No, it's $350.
$350.
Here's the crazy part.
So expensive.
Here's PSA 10. You got to consider it from the point of view that it costs that much to grade today. Let me tell you the pop-up Harry Kane PSA 10s. You ready?
Yeah.
10.
What?
Probably nobody graded it. It's nobody graded it, and the centering is brutal.
You know who owns 7 of them?
You.
So, I mean, that's my disclosure, right? But no, here's a fun fact. I don't know if you want to include it. My friend and I bought 6 of them in a group deal on Discord for $350 each. They got lost in the mail. So those 6, now the pop is 4. I have 1 of them. The pop is 4 right now.
Did you get your money back? I hope you got your money back.
No, I got my money back. Yeah. But the reason why I say Harry Kane is a sleeper is because for some reason the card market is obsessed with other English players. Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Mason Mount, now Lingard, Jack Grealish is one of them too. There are so many options in the England squad that for some reason it's not priced accordingly and people are not paying attention to the one guaranteed thing, which is Harry Kane as captain and the striker. Like, it's very strange to me. And when you think about who's going to score these goals, if you look at England's group, it's against like very weak teams.
Like I'm gonna agree with you. Well, I'm gonna explain why I think the England thing too is because like I didn't really get it either when I first got in, because when I started selling the cards in the U.S., people would pick through my boxes and be like, they'd pull out like the Gareth Bales or like they pull out all this like someone pulled out like a bunch of not Jesse Lingard. Who's the other kid that on United that played there forever? I forget.
Rashford.
But, no, not Rashford. It was like another young talent they had that people always said was going to be good. I forget. But like they're pulling out players like Gareth Bale, right? Even though he was terrible and sitting on the bench for Real Madrid last season. And I started to understand that it's not about what you and I, Brian, think as soccer fans, as true fans of the game. It's what Americans have heard on ESPN that makes them kind of know about soccer, right? That's the truth, right? So a lot of times people make the false assumption that, you know, England equals good at soccer, even though England's been actual trash for the last like 12 to 16 years in the international scene. But if I go to a bunch of Americans, they're always going to think, oh, England's really good at soccer. So then when the market came back, they actually look at the rankings and they see them and they're like, oh, England's actually doing really well in their favorites. So it just further dives them into a bias that they've already baked into it.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I think they're all great buys, but the fact that you have Foden, Sancho, and you have all like Mason Mount, you know, like all these players in there, they are all competing for this spot, right? That no one knows what this manager Gareth Southgate is going to do.
You're gonna be super upset when fucking he starts DCL in all these games, and you're gonna be like,
I'm gonna be upset. But the only one guaranteed thing right now is that the England striker and captain is Harry Kane, and people are not. I call him a sleeper because people are not paying attention to him because Tottenham are not playing very well, and they went through a big strut. I think like a mid-season, like they weren't playing very well. So I think
he wants out of Spurs, right? So
he wants out of Spurs, and he has that transfer potential too, like what Miles said. He could. Everyone's basically waiting. Who's going to get Haaland?
Who's gonna
And
get
probably the next one is going to get Harry Kane.
Yeah, it's probably going to be if like City strikes out on Holland, then
Yeah.
go after Harry Kane.
Oh,
If Mbappe moves, they're going to get Harry Kane.
to
If
PSG.
to PSG. Like there are a lot of these rumors going around, but no one's showing your hand right now because
waiting.
they're waiting on who gets Haaland, basically.
I can't wait till Americans see like the first summer transfer window they've ever seen, right? Like really, right? This is the first summer transfer they've ever seen. And they're potentially getting Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, Haaland, Harry Kane. Like those are just like 5 guys off the top of my head, right? This is gonna be freaking nuts this year, and this is the first one they get. Like Real Madrid attempting to rebuild the Galacticos, and this is the first time you've ever paid attention to soccer, which is kind of amazing, actually. The stars are truly aligning for everything to work out.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my 2 sleepers.
No, Brian, I will take them as sleepers. Now that you explain it, kind of makes sense.
I agree with the logic much more. I should have not doubted your
I'm
intelligence.
sorry. We're sorry.
Publicly too. Thank you.
All right. So,
Miles, your turn.
to your point. Okay, so Bruno Fernandez, I'm looking this up right now. Bruno Fernandez PSA 9 from 2017 Chrome is $64. And the last sold PSA 10 base Chrome is $200. There's also a green color match Chrome at $509 from the Sporting Lisbon jersey. So the numbers are actually pretty substantial for this guy that nobody's heard about. And when I talk about like anything sleepers, right? One thing I always tell you guys is that like the prices are here already and nobody gives a shit about them yet. Like, right. So like Bruno is already like, I truly believe only the actual soccer fans are paying attention to Bruno Fernandez, because I have literally not seen a single influencer mention Bruno Fernandez. Even a guy I like in Tyler, who's a huge Manchester United fan, has not mentioned him at all. Maybe everyone's buying him on the side, but like, you know, like honestly, if the base Chromes are like $40 to $50, you know, that's better. Like what RJ Bear, like RJ Trey Young base.
Stop trashing on basketball, okay? Make your
I-
own comparisons within soccer, please.
I mean, seriously, how much is a Trey Young base raw prism now? Like $50?
Probably more.
Maybe a little more. Okay. Who's in that range? Like Wiseman?
Probably.
Okay, so if I use that analogy, a top five prospect from this year's Prism class is worth less than the best attacking midfielder. Well, one of the best attacking midfielders currently in the world, playing for the most popular team in the world, playing for one of the favorites in the Euro. His Prism is selling, or his Chrome is selling more than a top 5 basketball Prism, and nobody has heard of Bruno Fernandez yet.
Yeah.
That's just volumes about what this market thinks of him and where it can go. Because that means investors now are buying in at $50 because they believe that there's an exponential return to be had on this player that nobody has heard of.
I want to really also reiterate that group, right? That group is insane. Portugal, Germany, I forgot Hungary, I think, which is pretty good, I think. And
every game will be on ESPN, right?
Yeah.
Every game will be on a major network. Think about that.
And ideally, when do you want to sell? That's the time to sell.
After they spank Germany and get move
that's
on.
the time you want to sell. You know, like if you want to have a safe bet, you want to sell before they advance to the tournament's going to move really fast.
Right.
It's a 1 month tournament.
It's knockout,
like,
right?
Yeah. So that group stage, the best time to potentially sell is like that group stage, and all eyes are going to be on Mbappe versus Ronaldo.
You like right now, if you buy right now, you'll literally have the time to buy it and get it in your hands and maybe rush them, but I wouldn't pay the $300. Maybe if you color, sure. Oh man, I have that in that 100 order. I have a green and a gold waiting for me. I was like, oh come on, double 10 me.
Gosh.
I saw that. It's pretty cool.
Double 10 me.
When are you expecting to get them back, Miles?
They're in QA1, so maybe like in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It shouldn't be that much longer. The ones I really are excited about are like the Federers and adults. That's really what I want.
Ooh, those are exciting. Okay. Do you have another sleeper or is it just one for you?
So, first would be Bruno Fernandez. The second one is the one that Brian has been agreeing with me for. The other one is Jack Grealish. The first kind of reasons are kind of silly. Oh, well, first his story is amazing so do you know how relegation and promotion work in soccer?
Brian explained a little bit to me, but it was crazy not so.
Yeah, so you kind of get it, right? So Jack Grealish actually started in the second division of soccer, and Aston Villa has actually won a Premier League before, and they're actually a really big club in England. So they actually fell into financial ruin after they got demoted, and they've been trying to get themselves out of the second to first division. And it's actually pretty frequent when teams fall out of the first division, they go bankrupt because of the amount of money they lose. So here's this kid who grew up in Aston Villa system, gets them promoted from the championship to the Premier League in one of the most amazing games I've ever seen. Like, he was literally physically assaulted on the pitch. Someone came running out and like punched him in the thing. He scores the winning goal in the championship playoff to get promoted. It was
It's crazy. Yeah, it was crazy.
So the first season he gets to the Premier League. The team is in danger of getting relegated. The very first season they make it up. He goes on this tear of the last 2 months of the season, saves the team from relegation and keeps them up. So now, after he made the first half of the season when he was healthy, he was carrying this team that was almost relegated the season before into a top 6 spot, which was incredible for them. And ever since he got hurt, they haven't been playing as well because he's that influential to the team. So there's two reasons I really like him. One, there's a few. One, it's the play that he has. He's dynamic. He controls the ball. He controls the field. You know, if you look on any of like the suspected England rosters and you like look at all the comments, he's always the most asked about player. Where's Grealish? Where's Grealish? Where's Grealish? Just go along with the common line of thinking that if he's the hot player for all the English fans, that's probably the guy you should be chasing, right?
Yeah. What would you consider his rookie card?
I was just gonna add that, Hannah. That I was gonna add on to Miles's thing. The one major reason, going back to cards, why he's a sleeper. 2019 EPL Prism is his rookie card.
He's got a Prism card, right? He's got a straight up.
A straight up rookie is his EPL Prism in the Aston Villa jersey.
Nice.
And I think there are rumors of Man City buying him out too. Again, everyone's waiting. Everyone's waiting for Haaland.
That's the other thing too, right? Like it's really been difficult to define what is a rookie card, right? If you consider everything as a whole, right? If we don't define minor league cards, that like the Bowman draft cards in baseball, right? Bowman draft chromes. If you don't consider that a rookie card because they're entering the minor leagues, and you consider it a rookie card when they enter the major leagues, technically isn't it a rookie card? Technically isn't a rookie card when Aston Villa got promoted from the championship to the Premier League, and that's his first season in the Premier League. That's the prism that it's denoting. But again, it's all up to interpretation of how Americans versus Europeans define all this market, because it's really cloudy.
Gotcha.
So, second reason I really like him, he's good looking. He kind of looks like Beckham. So he kind of you laugh.
Yeah, I just looked him up. No, I just looked him up. I agree.
Like, it's funny. It's funny, but like, he kind of looks like Beckham. So like, if he took off, like, you know, he's got like that.
Okay, that's a little bit of a stretch, but yeah.
I mean, no, he'll never bring the brand. Well, actually, we don't know that, because like there are moments that Beckham made that made him famous, right? Like Grealish has never gotten that opportunity to, and the stories I told you are remarkable about his past, right? Like, watch him play and then make those decisions. Like, Beckham got famous because of that halfway goal. Beckham got famous because of that last second free kick to send England to the Euros, right? Like, he had his moments to get there, and you know, we haven't given this guy the opportunity to. And
he could honestly start going out with a famous TikToker, and it's game over.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know that, right?
Right. It only takes that, is what you're saying, for him to like just his cost to go up.
Yeah, because like even I don't know if you noticed. Do you know who Alphonso Davies is? Alphonso Davies is basically a Canadian. He was from the Toronto Whitecaps. Miles, check me here, right? Check my facts. But he was from Toronto. Now he's one of the best left backs in the world, playing for Bayern Munich. He's only 21 years old. But the real reason why he's so famous and so well known is because of his YouTube channel. He vlogs and
famous, right?
Sorry, what?
someone famous, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's dating like a really famous like American women young soccer player, and they
Yeah.
both vlog together. And she
Wow.
plays for PSG.
I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, she plays for someone, and they have like millions of views on YouTube.
That's
Yeah,
so interesting.
like Hannah, do you know why the soccer thing took off in the first place? So it was a day where Giannis got invited to watch a PSG game, and he was like over the moon excited because he got to meet Mbappe and Neymar. And a lot of basketball fans were going like, who is this guy? Who is Giannis fangirling over like crazy because he brought like signed shoes and jerseys, and he's like
Yeah.
all nervous to read it to them because he was like, I can't wait to meet these guys. The light ticked. And then the second one that happened was that I forget what soccer player that Luca met. Maybe it was Mbappe too, but Luca.
Oh no,
Luca,
Neymar. Neymar was there, I think.
yeah. So Luca was jazzed to meet these guys, but that's the thing, right? Like now the biggest stars in the NBA are European. So what's their primary sport? Soccer, right? That's the game they grew up on. So as the sport gets more European, the mesh will happen more and more often. That's just the way the world is becoming. It's marketing. A lot
Is
of it.
America ready for soccer or football? Is America ready?
We still have to call it soccer. I mean, I think they are. I think they are.
I think so.
Like
It's
they're having a good time.
mhm.
Mm.
Even if they're not, the card collectors will be.
Mm.
It's like
Watch the game.
yeah, I've yet to see an Mbappe investor because I've recommended all my friends buy Mbappe now, right? I've just recommended buy Mbappe now. Then they turn on the PSG game for the first time.
Mhm.
They are just hooked
Oh,
onto it.
yeah. Oh,
They're
yeah.
just like, why am I watching the NBA? Like seriously, the NBA is so boring right now. Like,
There's no
why am I
competition.
watching the NBA when this is on?
And that's the other thing too, is that people don't realize that the schedules of the games are different.
Mhm.
Just because you watch soccer doesn't mean you give up NBA at night, because the soccer
Mm-hmm.
is literally in the midday when you're at the office.
Mhm.
Like, who gives a shit? That's like when the time like people don't give a shit about working. Might as well watch a game. It's very different. It's very different. People don't think about these things because you've never tried to watch the sport before. Like it's a growing process. Like even for me, like I grew into being a soccer fan. Like how was it accessible before? The games were not on TV. Like you had to have like all this special cable, you like just lived in the area to grow up with it. How is it possible for me to grow up with it? Like the only chance I got to watch the games were either like when we did something special to go out to watch the games or during the World Cup. Like, that's
Mhm.
literally
That's
all. And
Yeah,
now it's
I like Miles's point about the scheduling. I think the big reason why people are getting tired of the NBA today, right? Not 1 year ago, specifically in this current climate. There's obviously factors like players getting injured and stuff like that, big players getting injured. But the big reason is the scheduling. There's too many games.
Yeah.
There's too many games. It's too repetitive. It's just not exciting anymore. It's too
Mhm.
much of it, right?
Mhm.
You don't hear, the Lakers and Clippers are opening back up tickets, and no, I don't know. All my sports friends are not even like, oh, we have to go, like
Mhm, mhm.
indicator a little bit, like
Yeah.
as to like, there's definitely some market fatigue. I
Mhm.
still love the NBA. I'm sure it'll take off in the playoffs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But let's go back. But that matters in card investing.
Right.
It matters, right? It matters.
That's why the
investing.
modern basketball hasn't moved for the longest
Yeah.
time. There's
Yeah.
not excitement.
Mhm.
No.
I have
Yeah.
tons of people. Like I have tons of big investors who've come to me and they're like, I'm bored of basketball. Can you teach me modern soccer? And then people are asking, what do I buy with vintage soccer? Like I met with one guy and I highly doubt you know this card, but it's a 1958 Quiggle Pele rookie card. So like before the soccer boom, before everything happened, this was like the premier Pele rookie card.
Mhm.
And then times changed and now it's moved to Lifa Bolliger, which is the big one. But someone asked me like what the good cards are going to buy. And this is like a primary only basketball driver or buyer. So he gets to his investment group and they end up on the last golden auction. They won the 4-5 Quiggle that finished on the auction because they were getting bored of basketball.
Mm.
They wanted to buy other things because truthfully, what can you buy? Like, what's different? What do you want to learn? What do you want to do something else? Because like
Right.
we've already run like all the trends in the last 6 months. We've literally run the trends of like everything that's you can do in basketball. We had like from the first Dallas show, we went from like having that prism craze with it was the jaw.
Right.
It was that trend. Then the second show I went to, it was all about high end, right? We've done high end. Well, no, it was vintage because people are going after the 86 Jordans, right? And then people are going after GOAT, high end, exquisite Kobe, LeBrons, and all that stuff. And you've tapped it. That's literally all basketball has to offer. Modern, high end, vintage. So you get rid of that and you move on. And now they're learning soccer, modern, high end, vintage. And then what's next? Who knows? It's just part of the phase of when people growing up, but the phase will last longer, I think, or the phase will come back because people still are learning the sport. There's like still so much entertainment value left to have, and so much like the gap of knowledge takes so long, right? Like I could tell you crazy stories. Like there was the Premier League a couple of years ago where Leicester City unfortunately unseated Arsenal to win the title. But crazy. I can tell you this, like one, the odds were like 1,000 to 1 for them to win. But the better part of the story is that preseason, the entire Leicester team was treated to by their owner to fly out to Thailand to have like a team get together. And then they get caught in the headline. The literal headline is Leicester City players caught in racist Thai orgy. So like they were making like all these racist faces and all this other shit, and the owner is Thai, so we got pissed as all shit. Fired the coach, sold out the team, and he brought in all these guys on a whim, and they win the title. Like that's why the stories are crazy, because you have like people haven't paid attention to like the depths of what happened. I fell in love with the game because of how absurd things are, you know, like all this American sports. They're like
you push them and they're like foul.
They're like so whatever. Like the cheating scandal in baseball, like nothing happened. Nothing happened to the Astros, right? And so like, or misconduct. Guys keep their players or they sign all this stuff. The Thai owner was like, you guys, and blew up the team. That was amazing.
Two macroeconomic things are happening from what I'm noticing. Americans are learning soccer more, and the world's learning about cards more. That's what's happening right now.
PSA plans to open operations in both Europe and Asia. You tell me where it's going, right?
And these vintage cards, the Zidanes, the Ronaldos, you know, all of them. When China and Singapore are involved, it's when Qatar hosts, when in the Middle East, when Qatar starts hosting, and there's no way you can find these vintage cards. It's impossible. It's hard.
Like I listen to all these idiots talk about like low pops, and they're like low pop 500, and then there's like if you do the math of the actual print run, it's like 30,000. You're like low pop. Oh my god. The Pele Quiggle. Hold on, give me a sec. I'm gonna look this up. You can cut it later.
Yeah.
Just wait.
It's crazy, Hannah.
Yeah. Like for sure.
Like a Zidane sticker, a 1991 Zidane sticker, entire graded is 40 or 30. Right? There's one on Golden right now for PSA 8. Do you know how many Singaporeans and Chinese people, and you British people and Spanish people and Brazilians all grew up like watching Zidane play?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We all remember
I did too. Yeah, the headbutting.
We all remember the headbutt, right? That
was his retirement too, I think. Retirement game, I think.
Game. Okay, so I looked at the Pele. Total PSA population, 55. 55. Like that is a joke. Like I was talking to my business partner because I own a share of a PSA 10 71 BIS rookie, like the premier one. The total PSA pop on that is 20. And every single person that bought that card intentionally bought that card to invest in. You are not going to find a person who just on a whim owns one of these 7110s. So not only are you participating in a market that's like incredible, like you cannot, but like it's so difficult to buy into it, and it'll be more difficult as the populations go up. That's why the prices keep going up. Organic. It's literally a it's just a group of investors that know what they're doing. So you're participating in a market that won't bottom out on itself.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, like, I really think that as you guys are talking, some of these higher end cards, like, I don't want to call them cards. They're legendary items, right? Like legendary. I don't think you can even find them. You can't, like, even if you want, you're like, put a bounty out there or whatever. I don't think people will let them go.
I genuinely,
I think they're so rare that it's going to be like in Christie's auctions one day.
Maybe.
Like I think that's how rare like these cards are when you think about the macro, right? Like like when, like I said, when these Singaporeans come in and the really rich Chinese people and the Hong Kong and the British, and when they all come in, like there's just no way. It's just not happening. And and PSA, by the way, you can pull it fresh from a pack from 2003 or 1992. They're not going to give you an 8 to 10. They're just not. Like they're going to give you a 6 at best. You know, like it. Yeah, I mean that's what Miles and I experienced. Like
what's insane too is that like we haven't even tapped the beginning of this marketplace yet. Like if you look up on Golden's Instagram page, they're actually he was pumping the 97 Merlin Premier Gold PSA 9 because they have one up for auction.
David Beckham.
Yeah, David Beckham. It's a really nice card. And I know I'm investing in the right thing when like someone looks through my case and they always stop at a card and they're like, how much is this? Sight unseen, a card they do not know, have never heard of before in their life, and they're like, I must own that. Right? That is completely different than how this marketplace is established, because everyone has 1,000 freaking comps of well-known cards that have all been pumped up, right? So people are intimately familiar with all the different prism variations, and it's so freaking boring. So then I show a collector, or I show a basketball guy who's never heard of soccer cards in his life, doesn't know any of the vintage markets, pick through a case, see a player he recognizes, and ask for a price. It's completely different. And I'm into my PSA 9 Beckham, I think about $5,000, and I don't know. I hope it goes for 10 on auction. I think it's at like 2,300 right now. But again, it's still a relatively small buy-in. I think this total PSA pop is still under 200.
Going back to like the soccer market, like the macro, right? It's the problem with the soccer market right now is a lack of education. It's very difficult it took me a long time to understand which sets are what. But you have to also look at the future, right? PSA is going to want to tap the soccer market. PSA is going to make it easy for you to know which players are rookies and which aren't. They just are. If you are a collector now, you know that just go on PSA, type in the name, and look at the first card.
Exactly.
That's typically the way to go. They're going to make that UX way easier. And going to Miles's point, we both set up at the Dallas Card Show twice now, and I lay out my entire vintage soccer collection. Some people just come up to me and they're just like, "How?"
Like, how do you have this? Like, why do you have this? Right?
How? Right? Like, and yeah, you can go and type Zidane 1991 Panini on eBay
Good
right
luck.
now.
Good luck.
There's nothing.
Panini, as you know, is an Italian company. They started making stickers there as rookie stickers or whatever to paste in albums and stuff. What happened was that if you're a rookie, Panini basically creates stickers for each league for each European country. So, which means that Zlatan, for example, his first club was a Swedish team. No one cares about the Swedish league. So they make much less print runs. And that's why it's so hard to find a Zlatan rookie. There's only 10 graded, right? In the world. One of the best players in the world, right? Lewandowski. We know him as Bayern Munich and Dortmund, but his true rookie is hard to find because it's in a Polish league.
Yeah, the team. I have both though. I have both.
Yeah, and that's 2010, right? That's 2010. Now go back to 1991 when Ronaldo, when R9 Ronaldo played in the Dutch league. Panini is not going to print a lot of stickers in the Dutch league. They're not going to print a lot of stickers in the French league either. They're going to print EPL. They're going to print Serie, the Italian, and Germany and Spain.
Like let me tell you a story that will establish like and for this older vintage stuff. So, where I'm in a lot of soccer discords or a lot of chats. And there was one time this was before I was super getting into vintage and researching it. There was a Zidane PSA, I don't remember what PSA it was, that came up on PWCC. And or no, it wasn't PWCC, it was Probstein, the guy that always gets shielded. So it went for a record high, and the guy was, and everyone's like, well, you got shield, you got shield, you got shield. The guy responds, I know I got shield. I literally don't care because I had to have this card. So that's basically how it goes.
Mhm.
Now, if that was in the basketball market or anything across from the normal markets, everyone would be up in arms like, what the heck, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, return that, like all that.
But
Yeah.
it's completely different because the market is impossibly small to find, and people already feel this emotionally attached and this emotionally charged to own these cards.
Mhm.
And again, if the population is already so small and it's already controlled, then how do you get it? How do you get it?
That being said, there are concerns in the soccer market too. If it does, I think I heard, I was discussing this the other day, like there is just not enough soccer product right now. It is still too limited to select Prism, and it's difficult for people to enter because they are really expensive. Hopefully in the future there would be much easier entry points to create a market, right?
Yeah, I think Panini
I think
kind of started trying this year, right? Like retail
Yeah.
products and all of that.
Yeah.
That's definitely the engine of it. I think that affordability to get in,
Mhm.
and I think that's unboxing mostly. But
Yeah,
I think it's here to stay, to be honest.
Yeah, the retail products for Premier League Prism are strong. They'll bring back a retail product for the World Cup Prism, which should be strong too.
Mm.
Obsidian opened at a much more reasonable price than the other sports at like 450-ish, which isn't, compared to I think Obsidian's like 800 in the other sports, close to 800.
That's pretty good.
Then they're doing a low-end product called Merlin Gold, which is like a throwback to old times. So they're trying to bring it, that would be like the equivalent of hoops, right?
Right.
FYI, that Merlin set, that's a buy.
That's a buy, yeah.
That's a buy. A heavy, heavy, heavy buy.
Mm.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah,
that's a buy. And it's UK
On it.
exclusive.
Well,
I see.
one of the products across soccer are already more affordable than any of the other sports, right?
Mhm.
And then they're dropping the price point even more. And then if the market's hot, I've worked at the bullpen for a while, and all I saw was like, what soccer do you have? What soccer do you have? What soccer do you have?
Yeah.
It's literally, because it's different. It's different.
Here's another indicator too, right? Because it's so hard to get data because no one really has any soccer data. You got to be on the ground, right?
Mhm.
Card Talk with Ryan, Lou, and Tyler, one of probably the more influential podcasts out there. And Miles knows this. Their latest podcast where they take Q&As, their comment, Tyler, you're gonna love this. All the questions we're getting, most of the questions we're getting, soccer.
Mhm.
Hey, they called us out twice. And we didn't even, what's funny, the third Dallas show, I wasn't even there, and they still called us out.
They said you were there. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I wasn't there, and they were like, oh yeah, because that's the thing, right? Who had, how many people in that room had the spread that we had, right? With the knowledge backing up. It's so memorable, right? Because I was telling Brian this the first time we went to the show. I thought there were going to be under 10 people with soccer, like a substantial soccer inventory. Everyone has the other four big American sports, and you're largely ignored unless you have the best of the best of the best basketball, right? So here we come in, we have great soccer inventory across the board. We bring a lot of stuff between the two of us. How does that not stand out, right? Literally, how does that not stand out? Because it has to. It literally
and you guys have cards that aren't like Mbappe PSA 10, and that's it, right? You have literally jaw-dropping cards that people are questioning, where the heck did you get this from?
I think I can speak to both of us, both me and Brian, is that the spread of cards that we have attracts an entirely different demographic of people, like organic soccer fans. And the relationships and the talking that you meet with other people is just so much better. That story I posted on Instagram, that's the best thing that happened. Were you? I don't even know. Were you there? Were you there listening, Brian? No, I think you were gone.
Oh,
Um, I'll tell this.
About the sun, right?
Yeah, I'll tell the story so you can like clip it. So this guy comes up to like, there's this guy who used to work for BGS, came up to the booth and we were like talking, and he's like a big American soccer fan. So this other guy comes up. And he's like, "Hey, can I pick up some Messi cards for my son? Because he's just he got into an academy." I'm like, "Oh wow, that's huge. What academy?" And he says like, "One in Spain. I think it's like La Masia or something like that." I'm like, "Wait, are you kidding me?" So you know how Brian mentioned that academy that built up Iniesta, Xavi, and Messi? That's the same one. That's the very same one. That means he got flown out to Barcelona, and he's probably going to get his education. He's probably going to get a pro contract. He's going to get all that going to Spain, and he's one of the first Americans to do it. So like, I've started gushing like, because like he's probably one of the first like 20 kids from the U.S. that gets accepted into the academy, and like in a lot of ways, that kid is a pioneer for all of American soccer. And his dad had no idea the magnitude of how important it was for his kid to get into that. The guy like started crying because he started tearing up pretty bad because he's like, "I took this for granted. Like I thought it was just something I was going to send my kid, and my sister in Germany was going to watch him for something." And he's just like, look, I told him, it's like basically if your kid got a full ride scholarship to be Alabama's quarterback, and he was the first American to be Alabama's quarterback, right? And like it didn't hit him, right? Because not even the families that are involved in the sport in the US understand the magnitude. Like I had another dad tell me like he had scouts from Juventus come to his nephew's house because his nephew played soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Scouts from Juventus came, and the aunt called the police because she didn't know what the team name was. She thought they were trying to scam them. And then the uncle calls back. It's like, "That's a real team. I know." But that's where we are. That's literally where parents don't know. How do you expect the fans to know? And it's the delta of knowledge again. It's so steep, but we're getting there.
Yeah,
we're literally getting there, inch by inch.
No, I think they're like soccer, like from an outsider's perspective, like there is so much more depth. And I think even more than the NBA. I don't know the years, but I'm pretty sure soccer leagues, official leagues, were around longer than the NBA.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But perhaps maybe the card collecting at a mass level didn't start with soccer, but maybe more so in the US with baseball, and basketball and football and etc. So it's super, super intriguing. I think you can do like 10 hours a day on just researching, reading, and watching soccer, like just in general, like how the games are played, who are the teams, how do they get to these points, like there's just so much to learn. And I hope that as a general mass, we can accumulate that knowledge together. And then maybe next time around this year, we can say, oh, like people have a good understanding of what a rookie card is for each of these players, or how to speculate a little bit better in soccer. And year by year, we kind of increase the general knowledge together. And then just like have, like we said, like soccer be a prominent sport in the US, which would be really, really cool.
Yeah. Did I tell you to watch This Is Football on Amazon, Hannah?
No.
Okay.
I will watch that.
God, you're gonna cry. There's one episode that really makes me cry every time. So the 4th episode in the series is about the U.S. women's soccer team.
Oh, wow.
Start with that one because it's an amazing year of the thing. You should actually just watch the entire documentary because, like, again, like, I hate the mentality where you have like these hardcore soccer fans who like shun off people. Like it's so hypocritical. They've wanted the game to grow for so long and the popularity to grow in America, and then the fans finally come in and they like try to shun them away, and it's ridiculous, Like learn through organic means, because it's going to be so hard to learn all these intricate stories of all this other stuff, or like learn the culture. Like,
right.
Just do it away, organic and natural.
Yeah, and I would say like we're like going back to those cards, right? Just cards in general, not the soccer. I mean, now that we know that the soccer card market we're very bullish on it.
Mm-hmm.
The current soccer card market is a collector's market right now. That's what it is. It's a collector's. It's not a mature market.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a flipper market. There are not enough cards, and that's why it is what it is right now.
Well, No, I really, really appreciated your knowledge drops, guys. I think we need to do a part 2, maybe even 3 soon. But we can coordinate some.
I literally can talk about soccer like.
No, really, really thank you guys for making time. I know both of
Yeah.
you are super busy. I know Miles, you just moved across the ocean to the better side of America too. So thanks for making time. But any parting words?
Anyone who watches this, feel free to reach out to me. I'm lafc.gunner on Instagram. Like one of my favorite parts of the day is like posting something on Instagram and like getting 20 messages from people talking about the game, right? Because like if I were to put this into perspective for you, right? Soccer's grown into my favorite sport to watch. And a lot of times, like, you know, I used to gush about like you can talk any sport with anybody, you know, across the US, but like when you watch soccer, there are so few organic fans you get to talk to. So you like build up all the stuff you want to talk about. And then you meet somebody and you just like explode with all the stuff to talk about. Right? Like that's why Bryan and I became such good friends, because like the depth of knowledge that, you know, most people don't have about the game, and you just start gushing and like talking about all this stuff. Like I could tell, like I could say Arshavin to Bryan, he's getting chills thinking about that goal, right? Like
4 goals.
Yeah, 4 goals on a comeback. But like that, but that's the thing, right? Like that's the best part for it. Like I have fun doing it. I have fun doing it.
No, thank you. Okay, guys, let's definitely get back together one more time. But thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next episode. Okay, bye.